In what job that people work does cat taint come up more than once?
I don't know.
Welcome to CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello.
And Danae Hughes. We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well, including our own personal fanfares, apparently, from Danae.
You know, you just got to go with it when you feel it.
Right. How are you guys? How is everybody doing?
Good.
It's been a week, you know. Danae, you've had a lot happen in the last week. Do you want to talk about that at all?
Sure.
Yeah, go for it.
So on Thursday, my personal organizer was at my house. We're doing our next 4-hour session.
Mm-hmm.
We spent 8 hours total in my office just getting through all the piles of papers and boxes and clutter and stuff that just kind of get shoved back in that room. And about 3 hours in, I get a message from our realtor saying, if we want to be strategic about you know, having a legitimate offer on this home that you guys found, we need to put your house on the market right now. And I was like, okay. So she puts it on the market. About 15 minutes later, someone's coming to see it the next day.
Yeah.
So then it was like, I don't want to say panic clean, but it was like,
oh, I was there.
We got to get stuff done. So yeah, then the next day from, 8 until 1, it was everybody jump on and clean. I was able to find someone that lives really close to me that does house cleaning. She came to the house to help. It was like window washing and floor mopping and sweeping and vacuuming and
and staging and
yeah. And thank God for friends who just, like, I texted Aaron and I was like, apparently we're showing the house tomorrow. And he's like, well, you just put it on the market. I'm like, I know. Things are happening fast. And you know what Aaron said, though? The first thing you said is, can I help?
Yeah.
Get yourself a friend like Aaron, whose first message is, can I help?
It's one of those things where it was all happening so fast for you guys.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like, it has to be a nightmare over there, like trying to figure out, can we do this? Is it going to, show in time?
I mean, thank God I've been working with this organizer person for I think that was our third session that we had done. And then we had also already been kind of pre-packing some things just to get the clutter and things out of the house that we don't need to have, pack them and sort of like that. We knew we were going to put on the market. We just didn't know it was going to be that quickly. So yeah, it was still crazy feeling, but it was all deep clean crazy and not, oh my God, we have to do everything in the next 10 minutes crazy.
Yeah, but in 24 hours.
It sold that afternoon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
That's crazy.
In 24 hours, you went from looking at a house, putting an offer on a house, listing your house, and selling your house.
Yeah.
All in 24 hours.
I am admittedly a little brain numb about it all. Because, there's all these things, and I'm going to skip all the details because it's a little bit too much. But that's basically like we had to do all of this in a specific order. And you sort of take a step back sometimes and you're like, I am just along for the ride. There are so many things that are at play that are way outside of my control. And they're all sort of coming together in this seamless feeling fashion where you're watching someone weave some sort of really cool, beautiful piece of fabric. And you step back and it's just this gorgeous design, but it's all these tiny pieces coming together perfectly. That's sort of what it feels like.
It's kind of the miracle of hindsight, right? Like, you look back and you're like, how did all this happen? Yeah.
So I'm in the thick of it. We're now closing on both houses on April 7th.
You're like a month away from closing.
And Sin Week is like just right in the middle there.
Right?
So we're going to miss a whole week of productivity. So we have a big plan. We got a lot to do. Like this morning, before even coming on down to record, I had to go, write a check for the earnest money so that they know that we've got money. And then I've got to go, get this paperwork to the bank so that we can make sure to get our loan stuff going. So now it's like adulting on that level where if you're in a house, we've been in the house we've been in for 6 years, you sort of don't have to think about it for a while. And then you have to do it again.
Yeah.
So we're in the do it again part.
Yeah.
And then we got to move. Oh, but we're going to hire movers this year.
I wonder
you have to hire movers. You have to.
Yeah.
I wonder if Jim Varney, when he was with us, named his bank accounts earnest money. I wonder if that was...
Maybe.
That would make a lot of sense.
I don't know, Vern. For anyone who hasn't bought a house, though, that is the worst thing in the world. Like, it is the biggest pain in the ass. And it does. I don't think it has to be. Like,
there's just so many legal hoops to jump through.
But it's crazy because we bought ours 4 years ago, and it's insane to me. Just every day you had to do something. Like you're signing a paper, or you're sending over something they lost, or they need another copy of, you know, your when you sold your soul to the devil, or whatever it is they need. But it's insanity. I just feel like there has to be an easier way. I just think the process is kind of messed up.
When we bought our house 6 years ago, it was all paperwork in person. And even when I bought my house previous to that, it was all paperwork in person.
Oh, this is your third house?
This is Danae's fourth house.
That you're buying? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
Guys, I do not recommend making this many poor choices. 2 of the houses were a very, very bad decision.
It happens.
Did you end up like foreclosing, or
on one of them I had to foreclose. The other one we're still paying on, but thankfully we've got somebody living in it that's actually paying rent. So, but like we couldn't sell it. It's just, you know, it's a house that was built in like 1920,
right.
You know, sort of in the more rundown-ish part of town. So it's just harder to sell houses over there. So, but anyhow, that's, you know, people make dumb decisions. But now, she sent paperwork. It's all digitized. You just click buttons. You don't even have to read anything. Thank God I've been practicing at not reading terms of service.
That is a little easier.
I don't read terms of service or agreements for any of the apps that I get or whatever. I just click accept.
You've had a lot of practice.
I've got so much practice just clicking buttons, and I was just like click, click, click. Wow, I just bought a house.
But you made that comment about that. You know, you've like 1% of you is refusing to be excited till you get the keys.
Yeah.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
I mean, because it doesn't seem like it's even going to happen half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just a couple years ago, we were in the same situation. I think, bought this house about 3 or 4 years ago. And we were in a situation where the house we were renting, they were saying, you have to be out in 30 days. And we had nowhere to go.
Yeah,
and
that was crazy.
And it was just like you, kind of a 24-hour period where we found this house. We made an offer on the house. We found out there were 5 other offers on the house. But because ours didn't have any contingencies, they accepted our offer. And it just bam, bam happened like that. And then we had to move like the next week.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah. Moving is not great. Thankfully, I have I've got a plan in mind. This woman that I'm working with, she's so great at just sort of helping me. I'm someone who thinks of 1,000 ideas and then I can't settle on one. So she's like, this is what you want to do. And so that kind of just eliminates a lot of my mental overload. So I've got kind of a general plan, and that's what so that was my last, not even my last week.
Yeah.
That was just a couple of days ago.
I know. Nothing of my past week bears any mention after hearing what you've gone through. So
no, me either. I wrote a lot. Exactly. That was my week.
But congratulations.
Thank you.
Minus the 1%.
Yeah,
minus the 1%. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Let's get into it, guys. Let's kick it off with the SinSide Scoop.
What's he building in there?
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week. It's kind of what we do here at Behind the Sins. We'll talk a little bit about the process of sinning them, how we felt about the piece of content in general. We like to start with TV Sins, and it was Breaking Bad again for the Monday video. This time the episode was The Fly. This is a Hughes Watkins script. This is a bottle episode is what they call this, where it all takes place kind of in one environment. And
I'm going to talk more about bottle episode and keeping tabs.
Very nice. Very nice. You guys wrote on this. So I'm curious, Danae, as somebody who hasn't watched the show, and Jonathan is somebody who is, I think, watching it for the first time and trying to keep up. What did you think of this episode? It's such a different kind of episode.
Ooh.
So you didn't like it, Danae. I can tell.
Okay. So I don't know anything different.
Right.
You know, I've only seen the episodes that I was assigned. And so...
Which is 2? This one and just one other one?
Right. Yeah. And then I watched the one, you know, as they come out on our channels. I watch what comes out.
The video, yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of have a little bit of an idea of maybe what's going on, like Better Call Saul or whatever. But what always is curious to me is when they're recommended because they're like fan favorites.
Yeah.
And so I kind of, on this one, I didn't know, I kind of expected action, and that is basically opposite of what this entire episode is.
Well, it's kind of the opposite of what this show is. This show, I mean, there is action in it every once in a while, but it's a very
not really.
It's a very contemplative show.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say I hated it. I would say I didn't understand why, but then through research, I think I kind of started to grasp what made this particular one so exciting or riveting to watch for someone.
Yeah.
And then in reading the comments, also people saying that they hated it when it came out, but now that they've watched the entire series, this has become one of their favorite episodes as time has gone on. So yeah, it was a really interesting one because it seems so out of place by what I expected.
Yeah, Jonathan, what about you as you've been kind of catching up?
I mean, yeah, no, it was fine. I mean, it's a great Cranston performance. And I think that's mostly what the episode is about. Rian Johnson directed it.
Yeah, he did.
Which is interesting. But no, it's a perfectly fine episode. I will say though, like, as someone like, back in the day when I guess they still have shows that have this many episodes, but like I get like when a Star Trek show used to have like 26 episodes and they were spending like a lot of their budget on like the season premiere and the season finale, and they'd have a big event in the middle of the season that they would have a few of these episodes where just for money reasons, they had to find something very simple to do.
Right, something creative.
Breaking Bad's only got 12 or 13 episodes a season though, so I don't completely understand why they had to do this, but a lot of people really seem to love it based on what the comments. There were a lot of people saying like, I don't get why people hate this show and I hate this episode. I
don't know a lot. I mean, I haven't watched everything, but one of the things I find really frustrating about this episode is I think one of the exciting elements is supposed to be that Walt almost reveals that he let Jane die.
Yeah.
Which I had to look up because I totally missed all of that.
I mean, it's probably for me the most traumatic thing that ever happened in the show. Just like there's no coming back for him after that for me. Like, he's a villain at this point. And as much as
Absolutely.
I don't want that, that's what, again, one of the things I love about this show is it's not your typical anti-hero. It's the idea of an actual person who probably had a lot of good intentions who actually turns into a villain, not an anti-hero, but a villain. And it's what a painful kind of journey, and at the same time a fascinating thing to experience.
This show has a lot of weight to it. There's consequences to everyone's actions.
Yeah.
From what I read, I think what I read was that it was essentially Walt choosing Jesse and making this decision because he thought that if he let Jane live, that Jesse was going to just continue to go, turn into a junkie and take this money and then disappear. So in a way, he felt like he was protecting him by letting someone die who was a bad influence on him. So anyhow, in this episode, Jesse, drugs Walt with sleeping meds, and which had to be the most fast acting sleeping meds ever because those are big fat pills, and he just plops them down in the coffee. It doesn't apparently change the flavor of the coffee at all either. And they just a couple little stippy stirs it up, and then, Walt begins to slowly fall asleep. And you think that he's about to like reveal his part in it. I think that's what made it really exciting sometimes, is because of this like, oh my gosh, is he going to let it spill? But he doesn't even do that. And I was really thankful that my sin made it in to that point, because if it's supposed to be tension that he's going to reveal his part in Jane's death, he doesn't do that, and he has plenty of breath left to do that. He could have said whatever he wanted, and I don't know. It would have been much better if he would have been like, I need to tell you something about Jane, and then he just falls asleep. But he doesn't even do that. He's like, I'm sorry. Why don't you come on down from there? We got to get working.
Yeah.
It's just so, I don't know.
We would have totally sinned it for, the treasure is buried in the,
yeah,
trope, cliche.
Is this the one where he does tell him that he ran into Jane's father?
Yes.
That's this one, right?
He talks so much. There's so much dialogue in this. And it's all, metaphors and stuff that you're supposed to, and maybe that's the other thing that people like, is that they can kind of like get into it and think that they know what it's about. What is the fly? What is the possum? What are these, things that they're talking about?
Which is the perfect segue to me telling how I feel about this episode, which is I love it. But I am so geared towards thematic stuff, metaphors, the beauty of the way a story can be subtextual. And this is an episode that does a lot of those things very well, which doesn't surprise me. Rian Johnson does a lot of those things very well. It's one of the reasons I love The Last Jedi is for the thematic things, the metaphor, the subtextual stuff that's in that movie. It's one of the reasons I love Knives Out so much is that kind of stuff in that movie. Like he's really smart about layering that stuff in. And so, yeah, I was really impressed when I saw this, and it was divisive at the time. Even at the time, I think, people were like, didn't like it, loved it kind of thing. And I was definitely on the loved it camp. But also I loved this show so much that I was also biased, right? Like, I think I was, predisposed to love pretty much anything the show was going to throw at me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure.
I wrote down that this episode leans fully into character-centered development and symbolic obsession about a rapidly devolving moral center.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And I think that was what I got from it, is they're both struggling in their own ways with various things, and it all kind of comes out in these interesting ways.
Yeah. You two wrote on this, so I will kick us off with some of the thoughts on the video itself. The fly saber, and then just kind of the shadowing of the fact that Rian Johnson would be involved in the Star Wars universe, I thought was something that was brought out very well, and I enjoyed that.
Nice one, Jonathan.
And enjoyed the false tension, hollow recollections and regret Sin, I thought was good, about the college girlfriend.
That one I had to have help on.
Oh, yeah.
That one I was like, I don't know what to do here, guys. There's something here.
Oh, that was on Discord.
Yeah, I actually posted it on Discord, and I was like, okay, guys, what do you think? Got a lot of really fun ones, and ultimately I was like, okay, what do I do here? I went with one that was a little bit more vulgar, that wasn't even suggested on Discord, but like the college girlfriend angle was there. And so I went with one that specifically said my college girlfriend's vagina. But the word vagina was cut from, like, we don't have to go there. And I was like, okay, it still works.
We can go there on this podcast. We can say vagina all we want on this podcast. I like the idea that
Danae's like on Discord, like, hey, I've got this script to write. I don't have time.
Guys,
you guys just...
That's all I do anymore. All my writing is done on Discord now. So I liked that joke. The "As You Wish" outtake slayed me, and it won't be the last Princess Bride outtake I mention on this show.
Yeah.
But him fall. I would never think, like, anytime a character falls just to do the "As You Wish," especially falling like from the ceiling or whatever.
What a ridiculous fall! It just kind of kept going, and it reminded me of Wesley going down the.
I laughed so hard at that outtake. And then the fact that somebody got in the pun flying F.
Was that the last sin?
Yeah.
I mean, the episode's called Fly, and it was hard not to throw in some puns, because we also did the there was another one too I wrote down. It was the this episode is Fly Filler.
Yes. Yeah.
It's built on a fly of lies. Yeah.
What about you guys? Do you have any others you want to mention, or any things about the video that you guys wanted to throw out there too?
You actually mentioned a couple I had written down, and then that one about the fly filler and stuff. So I had nothing else to add. It was a fun one to work on. It was it's one of those that's more challenging than most, which can be fun.
These Breaking Bad scripts have been tough for sure, because it's so such a talky show.
Yeah, there's a ways to, you have to kind of like figure out a way to say something. The ones that I remember are, all of a sudden there's a ladder. Okay, where was that ladder earlier? Whenever Walt was trying to get to the ceiling, and then even though it wasn't tall enough, it could have still been there. Or whenever he opens the door to yell at Jesse and the sin about, like, okay, now I'm stressing about where this fly is because you've just opened the door and the seal is broken. So things like that kind of, or I don't know, easier in a way to sin, but
yeah. We cut a decent amount from this one too, because I remember Chris was even surprised at how many we had.
Yeah, we had a lot. We really did.
Good job. Yeah. Good job. I think it's a fun video and very well done. So great job. Moving on to The Walking Dead. The episode was Walk With Me. This was a Dicer Watkins script.
Dicer Watkins.
And,
I don't know why I'm so singy. I apologize.
And pretty much any Walking Dead script that you will find is going to be a Dicer Watkins script.
Man, it is rough going back and watching these.
It really is, isn't it?
What?
Like I'm sitting there watching these and like I liked this show, or at least I watched this show. Maybe I didn't like it.
No, I did like it, and I will say,
what makes it bad?
Well, here's what I'm going to say. This, going back and watching the Governor season, or some of the episodes from the Governor season, I think that was the last time I actually really liked the show. And then after the Governor storyline closed up, I just kind of stayed with it because it was a show I watched for, and until Negan was kind of cool. Like, that villain was kind of cool, but it was so over the top. And then, the baseball bat moment, I was like, I just don't need this in my life anymore.
Yeah, that was my last episode. I think we both had the same last episode.
Yeah, I was just like, I don't need this in my life. In fact, I didn't watch that episode. I just had heard enough people, and I was like, you know what? I guess I don't even need it,
Well, and for me, it was the one before that. I just watched it to see, just out of curiosity, how they were going to finish it. But the one before that, where they were just like going into that camp and like just stabbing people in the head while they were asleep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these are people I'm supposed to be rooting for.
Right. Yeah.
And they're just brutally murdering people.
I think it was an interesting take on the community dynamic enough that's why I enjoyed it. And the idea that there would be different groups of people in this survivalist situation, how different groups would handle it, that kind of thing was a little bit interesting to me. But I just started to realize that they weren't at all interested in the actual world building of the show. They weren't at all interested in actually finding a solution or finding, heading towards any kind of, outcome. It's just always going to be, what gross way can we kill people and zombies, and how are these people going to survive? And that just wasn't enough for me long term.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of it. Like, I think going back, I think we might have even talked about this the last time we talked about a Walking Dead episode, is just knowing that it's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
With that knowledge, because I guess when you were watching it back then, you're like, you were curious to where it was going to lead.
Yes.
But now you have the
once
disappointment.
you found out it wasn't going to lead anywhere, you're just like, ugh.
And the other thing that happened that really clued me into that was the fact that we got Fear the Walking Dead, which was supposed to be an origin story, which, how do you do an origin story that's not interested in world building? And it wasn't. It was like, within 3 episodes, it was the exact same show as The Walking Dead. And it was just like, what is going on? Like,
and didn't they eventually, aren't they in the same timeline now?
I have no idea, because I gave up on that show real quick.
I've only seen the pilot, actually, but I can't remember now. I feel like it's something like that, like, or they're very close to each other.
Yeah, anyways.
I, of course, haven't watched it.
Yeah.
And don't plan on, watching it or getting into it. And as you guys talk about it, I think that I'm making a wise decision.
Yes, I think you are as well.
One of the things I really picked up from the video is, like, for example, you guys pointed out, like, I think that was something about leaving meat to rot, creating some kind of an odor.
Yeah.
And then, like, well, the whole planet would be smelling like rotting meat. And you had sins similar to that, where you're pointing out, okay, but that doesn't make sense for this world so many times in this little episode that it's kind of obvious. You're both like, this is we're over this. We're over this.
Well, I just, like, Aaron wrote that sin about how they're dumbfounded. Andrea and Michonne are dumbfounded that they can keep walkers out. Like, how hard would that be?
Yeah.
You
And
have walls.
And they're also appalled that they have walkers hanging outside. Like, what kind of people are you that would hang? And it's like, how many times have you used walkers in stupid, ways that are totally inappropriate? You know what I mean? Like, it's just,
like Michonne's been walking around with 2 walkers by her side.
Yeah, with all their limbs cut off and their jaws cut off. It's like, how is any of that,
Yeah, that girl's like, I won't make excuses. Well, you don't need to.
You don't need to, like, in this world. But yeah.
I also like the sin about stop calling pregnant women, saying that they're about to pop.
Yeah, that's my keeping tabs this week. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm excited to get there, because I heard that quite a bit when I was pregnant. And I was like, that's just not the visual that I want going into this thing.
I've never thought about that. I don't think I've ever used that term, to be fair. But yeah, until Aaron wrote that, I was like, that's a good point.
I also liked the, what was it? Come With Me. Close enough. Roll commercials. Like, okay, we're done.
Oh yeah, because it's called Walk With Me.
Yeah,
we're done. Okay, we're done. The post-barn stress disorder was fun. There was a lot of really just fun ones inside of this.
That was one of those where I think we kind of combined, or Aaron added on to something.
I love that.
Yep.
And that's what makes it good, is whenever you just like submit something and like, there's something beautiful here. Keep adding to it. And
Jonathan came up with a sin that had the "My name is Merle" joke in it, and which I think is great. Great play on "My name is Earl." And then with that sin didn't quite work, so we used the "My name is Merle" in a different sin because it's so good. And that'll happen a lot where if there's a good joke that can, or a joke name or a pun or something like that, we can kind of shift it around if we find a better place for it. So yeah, that was one of my favorites.
Finally, to my point about like the whole how does this work, was the camouflage aspect, like thinking about we use them like a camouflage repellent or something, and then just again questioning how does that work if zombies can't see them because of other zombies, and then just sort of questioning. Okay, so the feel is you guys are just making this up as you go along,
right? Because
in one of the earliest episodes they did this, and this was actually interesting, where they covered themselves in like entrails and guts and whatnot. It's gross, but that actually made sense because they would smell
like dead.
Yeah.
But just to have some walker right next to you, which how's that different than a walker that's attacking you? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it just basically means if you just wander around amongst them, they won't even notice you. Well, that's dumb, and we know that's not the case.
That's dumb. This whole thing is just dumb.
Well, good news.
We're almost done.
No, we're going to keep doing them for a while. So there's a new season out. So
stop it. Stop.
So what else from the video? The millennials joke killed. I was glad to see that. Lots of fun for that in the comments. I will say when I wrote that joke, I had cognitive dissonance because I hate millennial stereotypes.
Yeah.
I really do. Like I hate that that's the stereotype. It was just too perfect a joke not to use. So I ended up putting it in there. But yeah, that'll happen sometimes. What about you, Jonathan?
Based on this and the Fargo pilot that we send, I think Aaron has a real issue with the way people shovel and rake.
Only when they're not doing it.
Well, I think that's probably, but that's like a background actor thing, I guess. It is pretty funny to note.
It's like, it is, and I think the joke I used is always what it reminds me of. It reminds me of kids who don't want to eat their food and they just move it around the plate. And it's like, you're not eating. You're playing or pretending. And it's like, yeah, they're pretending, but be a little better pretender.
In that same bit, we did that 22 seconds of the walking governor because it's ridiculous. Like, you just see him walk. Like, you see the whole thing take place of him just walking in real time.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane. Why did I wrote a note, creative blowjob jokes are fun. Why did I write that?
Because they are.
Oh, that was the, they say something about, swallowing it is hard. And I said, I'm tired of swallowing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm ready to spit. Cause they was that stupid thing about if you die, you become one.
Mm-hmm.
And then the baggy underwear showing out of the jeans guy. That was funny.
It made me sad that I had already used their clothes would have fallen off, thing. And I was like, I have to mention it again, because if everybody's clothes would have fallen off, because obviously, they're just, bones at this point. Certainly the guy whose jeans sag, he would have lost his jeans like day one. Like, unless the zombies are really, concerned about hiking up their pants.
For as upset as you guys are, I know I'm just kind of like, I'm pushing into that. You're not really upset, but that you have to do all the Walking Dead and I don't. At least there's so many easy things to send. It's just this low hanging.
It's actually a fun show to send.
It is.
Low hanging rotting food or rotting fruit hanging from the trees for you.
Yes, exactly.
Also, real quick, a lot of people disagreed with us on the bow and arrow sin or the crossbow sin. Which, I mean, that's fine. We didn't mean to offend anybody that's really good with a crossbow, but I don't know.
They think like there are that many people.
Skill that not that many people would have, but whatever.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to music video sins for the week. Lil Nas X Rodeo was the video. Of course, Barrett writing on this. What do we think about this video / this song?
Okay, so the Lil Nas's voice is so interesting to me. It's got that depth.
I kind of like his voice, actually.
Yeah. I don't mind it. I don't know what the song is about, admittedly, but like there's something about, I don't know, just the tone of his voice I really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
And it just seems like this kid is having a lot of fun making videos, making tiny little movies for us to ponder and enjoy whether they make sense or not, who cares? You know, it's just someone having fun.
I feel like we're on a streak recently of videos that completely don't match their lyrics. Like just completely randomness.
So true.
And we're on this streak. And I'm just like, am I the only one that actually cares about lyrics and what the song is saying and how that should really? I feel like maybe I am.
You are.
Maybe this is just kind of some vestige of the past that I feel like lyrics and message are important and nobody does anymore.
That's right. How do you feel about that, Aaron?
That's fine. I mean, I'm old. I'm getting old. I get it. But
I'm an old man.
I think as somebody who loves, again, themes, message, metaphor, all that kind of stuff. I like thinking long conversations about philosophy,
talking about feelings,
talking about everything.
God, it's amazing we're still friends.
I would hope that there would still be people, coming into this world and existing in this world, because there's a curiosity to that in philosophical exploration of that I think we need as a species. So I hope some people still care about that stuff.
I think when it comes to music, I think I tend more towards lyrics. Like I tend more towards songs that are more built around lyrics than just music.
Yeah. I mean,
you were talking about like the Fly episode. Like I enjoy movies that are all dialogue, like Glengarry Glen Ross or something like that.
Or Locke.
So I know what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the lyrics seem to be about the idea of give a man a fish, he eats for a day, teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime kind of thing. Like there seems to be an element of, I could do this for you, or you could, learn, but it's kind of in this, weird romantic relationship kind of way, which strikes me as a little strange. So maybe the message was just too abstract to even try to capture in a video, but to go like full thriller vibe was weird to me. I don't know.
This is very thriller.
Oh yeah, let me know what Barrett said.
Barrett said, I like everything about the song except the dumbass video. It has nothing to do with the song itself and is essentially discount everything with a little product placement thrown in there, which is so true. Those Doritos being eaten by a vampire.
Yeah.
That seems ridiculous.
I did enjoy going backwards the Gatorade sin. You do you, Breaking Bad.
That said, this dude is living his best life, and I love that. He seems genuinely happy to be there.
Sure.
And is actually producing good content. His performance at the Grammys was arguably the best, but I just wish he had a little higher artistic standards when it comes to his videos.
Yeah.
But he's apparently like a kid, and so I'm sure it's like, I've always wanted to put vampire teeth on and wear fringe. Let's do this.
Yeah. Any thoughts about the sinning? Some of the sins in this. I guess I'll start. Can we just talk for a second about how crazy it is that green isn't a primary color? Green.
I forget that.
Right?
I really do. It's been a long time since I was in elementary school.
Well, green is such a unique color, and so you think of it like, red, yellow, blue,
why
and
is
green.
It something a primary? Isn't it because it can be mixed with primary colors?
Well, it's like red.
You can't separate
was it blue and yellow, right?
Yeah, primary colors can't be separated into other colors. They are just themselves. Like red isn't a combination of anything else. It's just red.
But green is a combination of blue and yellow, right?
Right. It's a secondary color. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It is one of the mysteries of life that yellow and blue make green. It is one of those things I will never understand, because green is so
also my favorite
cool.
color.
It's like so green is so cool, but yellow and blue aren't.
No,
so really two lame colors make a great color.
Red, yellow, and blue, the actual primary colors, are very cool. Like they're their own thing. But green feels like its own thing too. Mm-hmm. Purple, it's like no, I can see the red and purple. I can see the blue and purple. I never look at green and go, oh yeah, there's yellow in there. You know what I mean?
I guess that's true. No, I get you. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Anyhow, I just wanted to mention
back to the sins that you like.
Oh yeah. The only other one I wanted to mention was some derivative of Nas. The sin that was like that made me chuckle. So what about you guys?
I really liked, for an actor, Lil Nas X is a really good rapper.
Yeah, those
are always good.
I don't know. I liked so many of these. The guy making it to the ATM to enter his PIN correctly with werewolf fingers, and there's so much going on in this. It's a fun one to sin because it's just so silly, and I don't know.
Yeah,
but you know what really bothered me about it though?
Sure, yeah.
Is the whole question at the very end, who was on the phone in the first place? Now I can't sleep at night. I don't know. But it's such a good question.
Yeah.
That is never answered. And if you're going to release a little movie, you need to
have a little resolution.
Or like do like a to be continued type thing.
You say you want a resolution.
But they have that great phone booth outtake, though. Where he's talking on the phone in the video.
Oh, yeah.
But he put in Kiefer Sutherland's voice on the other end.
So great.
I liked the fringe on this suit is so large it's wearing him.
Yeah, that was good too.
So much fringe.
Very nice, very fun. Let's move on to CinemaSins for the week. Now, this is one of those strange weeks that even as a movie critic who sees a lot of movies, like most of them, I have seen neither of these films.
Whoa.
So this was an interesting one for me.
Why didn't you see Addams Family? Did something else just come out that week?
It seems like Addams Family just came out. It was
in October, yeah.
Yeah, there must have been something else out that week, I'm guessing. Especially considering it was award season, I wouldn't be surprised that there was...
You didn't miss anything, but I was just curious.
Yeah. It doesn't appear that I did miss anything with either of these movies. Let's start with The Boy. This is an Atkinson-Watkinson script, as I wrote in our notes.
Yeah, you did. Atkinson-Watkinson.
It's just so easy to do. I've done that several times, I think,
What was really funny for me whenever I saw that, though, was because Jonathan said, so I'm Watkinson now.
Yeah.
And then I went back in and he wrote on another one and you had written his name correctly.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? What did I miss? It took me forever to figure it out.
Yeah. It's just when it's Atkinson.
But I love Watkinson.
Yeah. Can I be Dicerskin? No, it doesn't quite work as well. It doesn't work as well.
That sounds like
sounds
sounds like foreskin or something.
Yes.
That's weird.
Yes.
Basically, it's my name when I'm wearing my my singlet.
Oh, God.
Hey, look, it's Dicerskin.
Too many visuals. Too many. Too much is happening.
Anyhow, Atkinson-Watkins script. So Jonathan and Chris wrote on this. So Jonathan, I'm assuming you're the only one that's seen it. So tell us,
my guess.
Tell us how you feel about this movie. Is it as bad as it looks from the Sin video?
I like this movie. It's just a solid movie. It's a really cool slow burn for about 2/3. And then it just goes in a completely different direction for like the last 15 minutes, which when you can pull that off, I'm totally on board and I totally appreciate it. And this has one of my all-time favorite movie-going experiences. I saw this in the theater. I guess it was like maybe the Thursday night show, and there's probably like 30 or 40 people in there. And when the twist happens where you find out that the boys, there's a boy in the walls, like the mirror explodes and then these two hands come out. And then, pretty much everyone in that audience, we were just all audibly like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And it was just kind of one of those like really fun theatrical moments, I guess, even though it's not like one of my favorite movies of all time, but it's definitely a memorable theatrical experience.
Yeah, it seemed like the movie spent so much time with it just being a doll and weirdness that you sort of maybe like in your mind have so much time to just think that there's not a person involved, that it's just something supernatural. So then to see a human show up so late, because whenever the Sin said like with 15 minutes to go, I was like, 15 minutes? That's crazy pants.
Yeah.
And I think that this director is pretty decent. William Brent Bell directed it. I think a lot of that has to do with him too, just the way he shot the reveal and everything. I'm actually kind of curious to see what he does outside of the Boy franchise. He just directed the recent sequel that came out too. But yeah, no, I like it overall. I think it works because you don't know what's going on. So I think that's intriguing the whole time. And like, how is it supernatural? But then when you go back and rewatch it for Sin's purposes, it's pretty amazing that they didn't figure out there was somebody in the walls, because I don't know why they would think anything. I mean, like the idea that there's another person in the house never enters anyone's brain. They just accept the whole like, oh, Brahms is a supernatural thing. It's just a thing.
Yeah.
And
well, and then
let's do that.
You guys point out too that like even whenever there's that moment when there's something super creepy happening, and then there's like this boy's voice rather than like a grown man's voice.
Yeah.
So is that ever explained?
No, I think it's just, I think you're just supposed to think that the dude's just insane, which I mean, he's living in the walls and,
right.
you know.
Let's talk about what this movie is.
Based on the age they give you in the movie, he should be 33.
So I have so many questions about this movie. I did not read. I should have read the spoilers on it.
Yeah.
And then maybe I would have fewer questions. But at the same time, we've gotten feedback that you guys really like it whenever I just ask a whole bunch of questions about a movie. So I didn't know what to do.
Ask away. Jonathan will answer.
Okay, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
Questions. So when he was little, he killed a little girl?
Yeah, that's what you're led to believe. He I can't remember now if it was like more accidental or what, or maybe they don't even really completely specify, but a little girl died at his birthday party, and most people thought that he was involved.
Okay, so...
And then there was a fire at the house, and so the parents just decided to say that he died in the fire.
So they know he's alive as an adult.
They know he's alive. Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. But
they've been just they've had this what do you call it? They've just been acting basically like they've been raising this little doll this whole time. Like that was kind of like a coping mechanism for them.
So this is like Phantom of the Opera in a way.
Kind of, yeah.
You know, where like this kind of psychotic person lives behind the scenes and then has these really crazy fantasies. So does he kill all the people who come to take care of the doll?
Well, I mean, they don't talk about anybody that before her. So I'm not sure how long they've been doing the charade, but I mean, the townspeople know about him and stuff. So I guess they've been doing it a while. So
the townspeople,
and they only kill one person in this movie.
Right.
But I will say about the sequel, which the sequel actually I didn't mind that much either. Chris and I just did a mini pod for that. That'll be coming out later this week probably. But they retcon the shit out of this movie.
Interesting. Hey, can I ask a question? Is the Conjuring universe the second most successful expanded universe?
I don't know, maybe.
Does it go Marvel and then Conjuring? Like, I can't think of another expanded universe that's...
I mean, are you talking about money?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I would think DC would have more money.
Well, yeah, I guess I'm talking about a combination of number of films made, money made, and critical reception. I mean,
I would guess so, because I can't even really think of that many more.
Yeah.
That are...
Yeah, they usually just fail.
This isn't Conjuring, though.
Oh, this isn't the Conjuring universe?
No.
Oh, what is it? I thought the boy was one of the dolls from the...
No, that's Annabelle.
Right.
No.
But
the boy has nothing. The boy's its own thing.
Oh, I thought the boy was Annabelle's brother or something. That's...
No. No, not at all. I will say the sequel, though, feels more like an Annabelle movie.
Well, listen, if I've ever exposed my, my lack of credentials in the horror world, I just did it there, and that's fine. I mean,
it might as well be. I mean, I know what you're saying. I mean, it's kind of in that vein, and it might have been optioned because of that too.
Yeah. So many creepy doll movies.
This came out in 2016, I think. I can't remember when the first Conjuring came out or when Annabelle.
Annabelle, The Boy, the Chucky update, the Toy Story had the creepy doll in it, the creepy dolls in it. Like it's creepy doll time.
Yeah, again. Yeah. I mean, it's like it's the late 80s all over again.
It's amazing. Let's talk about the video itself. Obviously, I think the big hit in this was all the candles, wasn't it? And then
I love it.
He died on his 8th birthday. It was all the birthday candles, wasn't it?
Yeah, I love that one so much.
So good.
Yeah.
It's so well done.
Yeah, we both wrote stuff. That was definitely Chris, but we both wrote stuff just on that scene where there were all those candles lit.
Oh my goodness!
It was just nuts, and then he came back to it with that too, which was great.
It's just all the. And here's the thing. I just want to say this: there are people who wish that what we did was just actually catalog mistakes in movies, right? There are those people who wish that's what we did, but you would never get those
legitimate ones, like their ones.
Sure, and that's a whole other conversation to have. Right. But even if it's their legitimate ones or our legitimate ones, you would miss out on such fun stuff like this. This is not a sin of the movie. No one would say it is, but it's funny. Such a great callback. It's so funny. It gives the narrator personality. It's clever. This is why for me, I don't understand when people want CinemaSins to be kind of that straight-laced idea of here actually it's so better this way.
We're a humor brand.
Yeah, it's so much better this way as a comedy.
Yeah. We want to make you laugh.
Exactly.
And also point out ridiculous things like, you smashed that doll to pieces. How did you put it back together?
Yes.
Well, there's even like behavioral sins in this. One of my favorites was Chris wrote the one where it's, I can't imagine the psychological logistics it took to get her into Doomy mode.
Yes.
Or like something like, I just realized this doll looks like Jared Kushner.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that. I thought you guys would, I thought for sure you guys were going to bring up the GIF sin.
Oh, of course. Yeah, it's in my list as well.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's definitely on mine too. Oh, but also I do have thoughts from Chris too.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go
Yeah,
ahead.
please.
Chris said The Boy is one of those movies where you're writing sins and then a twist happens that makes you have to delete like 5 to 10 sins that you wrote. Oh my God, I hate it when that happens. Don't you hate that?
Yes.
It's so frustrating. You're like, these are good. And then the movie
in this one I knew, but but when you don't know, it sucks.
He said, still, this movie isn't all that good. It's not terrible. The worst thing by far is the setup. Lauren Cohan decides to take a nanny job in England to avoid her abusive ex-boyfriend.
Maggie from The Walking Dead, by the way.
So there's a dour subplot, and of course the boyfriend factors into the movie. That's a decision I wish that movie had changed, the entire thing involving that dickhead. The biggest story here, BTS-wise, is that this was supposed to be a summer 2019 video.
Mm-hmm.
The Boy 2 was set to come out in August, we think. It was pushed back to December, and then finally came out last weekend. So I had my half of the script done back in June, says Chris. They've just been we've been sort of waiting.
Yeah.
He watched it again recently to refresh his memory before actually going through the combine process of putting all of the sins together. But this is one that's been cooking for a long time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of fun little behind the scenes stuff.
You brought up the abusive boyfriend thing too. We got a lot of play out of that because that was irritating because it's like, I don't understand this whole thing where movies have to just have like multiple villains. It's like, you've got like a potentially killer supernatural doll. I don't need some generic,
right.
There had to be a better way to come up with her being there.
Yeah. You're gilding the lily at that point.
Yeah, because we have that one scene at the end where it's like, this is we name all the types of movies it is, and then our slash quotient is full. We don't have room for you, Cole.
Yeah, it's true. It's like, can't she just need a job? Why does it have to be something else?
Well, and then, also it's one of those silly things that we bring this up too. It's one of those silly things where they have to have somebody. They feel like they have to have a victim too. They have to have somebody get killed,
right?
And
so he's like
a character piece like this, they're not comfortable killing off the two main characters, so they throw in this third person that we don't give a crap about.
When the parents get home, they're just going to see this crazy murder scene in a house.
So they killed themselves in the movie.
Whoa, what?
They're leaving. Yeah, I thought I don't know. Maybe we don't show that scene, but their plan was to find somebody to take care of Brahms for the rest of their lives because they wanted to go. They were done, so they go off to wherever they're vacationing. And they drown themselves.
Jeez.
So they're never coming back.
Well, that makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned the GIF sin. I did want to mention that. I thought
way
that
to
was
try to turn it back to the positive.
Hey, listen.
Let's talk
about my job.
Let's talk about GIF peanut butter.
This is my job. It's my job. And then I had 2 puns that I wanted to mention. Of course, Cole Trickle was really funny, and then persona non grata was just brilliant. I really liked that.
The cold trickle, like that just worked out perfectly.
Yeah. What about you? Did you guys have any others that you wanted to mention before we move on to Addams Family?
One of the early ones I really liked was the power of boners that prevented the heads up about Brahms the doll.
Yeah.
And they were acting like all hurt that she was not, acting like the doll was real or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that was kind of funny to me. Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm still super creeped out by the whole parents' decision thing.
It's very
because
creepy
no, it changes so much about what I thought was happening.
Yeah,
that means that they didn't tell her that they were going to do that.
Right.
No.
So they just left her to take care of a grown man in the walls and not tell her.
But these are also people that have been playing this charade their whole life, so I don't think their mind was exactly.
That's true.
Right.
I mean, that's true.
Hey, Danae, I appreciate you making it so I have to transition us out of that awkwardness twice. It was fun to do it once.
Okay,
but now...
well, I have a transition.
Oh, good.
My favorite outtake was the Columbo outtake about the gum.
That was so good.
Holy crap!
Oh yeah, that worked out perfect.
As someone who loved Columbo, my mom and dad would always watch the old crime shows. What was A Murder, She Wrote was on all the time. Columbo was on all the time.
We had very similar childhoods in that vein. I watched Columbo and Murder, She Wrote with my mom all the time.
I thought he was the coolest. And so to hear his voice, well, first I had that thing in my head where I was like, wait, I know that voice. And I'm trying to figure out what it is. But why is he talking so specifically about gum? Because it's so perfect to the movie. Like, it was such a perfect outtake. And then I realized it was Columbo, and I was so happy.
Yeah, Chris actually did do that outtake. I didn't, but Columbo is one of my all-time favorite shows.
That's amazing. That was such an amazing find. Like, bravo.
Good old Peter Falk.
Oh, love it.
I miss him.
All right, let's move on to Addams Family. This was a Hughes share joint, so Danae and Barrett writing on this one.
Always terrifying to write with one of the big guys. Always terrifying.
Did you survive? You feel like you survived?
Yeah, I think I think I did.
Didn't try to fire you this time?
Not this time. No. Thankfully, I made it. I think I made it through without some embarrassing revelation about our differences.
Listen, if you can spell judgment with an E and still work here, then...
I know I'm here another week.
Right?
Super
so
shocked.
I think you're safe.
Did you come up with up close cat taint?
No.
That is literally the first thing on my list.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to keep taking stuff from you.
No, it's great. It's just fun. It's so funny. I chuckled. I laughed so hard.
It was the first thing I wrote down too.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Oh wait, you mean
I'm
the
sure
Universal
you wrote some
one?
good stuff too.
The
Danae.
Universal logo?
Yes.
Yeah, that was me.
I wondered if it was. But...
I was thinking of another video where there was something about cat tape.
Oh, okay.
No, yeah.
So you did write that.
No, yeah, that was me.
In what job that people work does cat taint come up more than once?
I don't know.
Welcome to CinemaSins.
Here's what it was. I was trying to think of, like, we always send logos. What's a way I could send this that's super different? And so
It's perfect.
That's what happened.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is a beautiful thing. Let's talk about the movie itself first. I imagine you have some comments from Barrett.
Sure, yeah.
That you could read, and then I'd like to hear your thoughts on the movie since you watched it. I haven't seen it. Jonathan, have you seen it?
I have, yeah.
Oh, okay, then both of you can kind of talk about your thoughts on it. But why don't we start with Barrett?
Barrett said, I actually really liked the animation, especially the quality. It was odd, but I appreciated it. The story is butt, though. And I'm just going to second that.
Yeah.
None of the narratives really make any sense. The Fester character, voiced by Nick Kroll, who I love, was nails on chalkboard.
It was so bad.
I have to agree with that. And there was no exploration about them as a family unit. Charlize sounds bored, which I didn't even realize that was her until I think my second watch. I just thought they could have done much more with this material. I really like the 90s versions. And I'm going to second that in a lot of ways. I really thought that this movie was relying on the quirky weirdness, but then that didn't follow through. There was a lot about family, but they kind of did that forced thing like, oh, we just want you to be something that you're not. But that's not at all what it was about at the beginning.
Right.
So they're just like, it kept making itself have tension and like making itself have these twists and turns that don't even make sense to the world, like wanting the family to stay in this happy, peppy town, which is completely ridiculous. So yeah, when you really start to poke holes and question it, I just didn't really enjoy it. I didn't mind the animation style. That was brought up a lot in the comments. Apparently that's sort of like the original cartoon style from like back in the day when it was in the newspapers and stuff like that. So I didn't really mind the narration style. I was more frustrated with just how the plot, it could have been something so much more. And when we send Addams Family, the 90s video.
Yeah, right before this one came out, I guess.
When we send that one, yeah, same kind of, like, had that fish out of water feel when they have to leave their home and then they have to live, out in the real world. And there's these weird differences, like with Grandmama going and killing cats and saying dinner's late, and that kind of whole thing. Our sin in that moment was, we want to see this movie where they're kind of in the real world. And then in this one, when they do go out into the real world, it's such a plasticky fake space, which I think the point that they're trying to make is like on both ends, you could have that fake person who's not allowed to be themselves, whether you're Quirky Addams or you're a regular person forced to live in a plastic land kind of a feel. But neither of them 100% work.
Yeah.
But you're missing some fun story. There's something missing from the story. And that made me sad because I wanted to like it because I like the Addams world. So I'm very, very, very on the same plane as Barrett. What about you, Jonathan? What did you think when you saw it?
Yeah, this movie is not good at all. I don't even like the animation. I disagree on that end. I don't like the animation. That's one of the problems I had with it. I guess it's similar to the newspaper style. I don't really know. That makes sense. I can't remember that artist's name though now. I might just not be a big Addams Family person though. I watched the show as a kid in reruns. And I remember kind of enjoying it. I'm not a fan of the 90s movies, although I think they're way better than this. I also thought it was weird that, if I remember correctly, the plot or the story in the first one is that aren't they real estate developers and they want to use the Addams land to do something with?
I'm
is
not
that
even
not
sure.
Right?
I'm not even sure I remember.
And then in this one, it's kind of similar to that, where, I mean, it has to do with the neighborhood being built up around them, but it still felt very, very similar.
Yeah.
And then you guys pointed out in the video really well about, and maybe you kind of touched on this just a second ago too, Danae, I think you did, but that Gomez is like the idea that he's really excited to like just be normal.
Yeah, it was weird.
That's really weird.
Yeah. And they act like, we didn't show this part, but they even act like when Pugsley bends down to drink the water when they're in the town, and Morticia's like, leave some for him. Like they know that they're different, and so it's weird to me that they would be. Even in the Addams Family video that we did months back, there's just so many questions about what is normal in this universe.
Yeah. From an outside perspective, as somebody who hasn't seen it, it appears to me that this is a movie that doesn't care one iota about being authentic or real in any way. Like, the sin about where the light source comes from for the magnifying glass is the perfect example of this. That is a ridiculous thing to show, that she could be starting a fire with the light from her room.
Yeah.
Like, it's very
stupid. Or building that machine inside the classroom to revive all of the frogs.
Right.
The original artist, by the way, is Charles Addams.
Yeah, I just looked that up. I was just about to say that. That's interesting.
If you do a Google search for original Addams Family cartoon, it really is very similar to the to this movie.
Now.
Which is
it's
kind
like
of
in the 73 one. Is that what you're looking at?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's a nice little homage, which I think is appreciated.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
I don't know. I would hope that the premise of the movie, is that they get married and they want to leave to find something that's more like them. So they come across this abandoned place and they just move in. And then 13 years later or something is when you've got Pugsley and you've got Wednesday. And then the fog clears and they realize that there's this town that's been built up by Margot, and she's doing this reality TV show trying to sell this property, but their house is a big eyesore, and so she wants to go redo that house so that she can sell all her properties.
Yeah.
That's kind of the general idea of it. And then mixed in with that is this idea that Margot's daughter wants to be more goth and Wednesday wants to be something else, but her whole development it's super teen angst feel, where her mom is actually accepting her. Her mom says, I accept you however you are. And then the next day she shows up in pink and she's like, I that's too far for me. But Wednesday wasn't happy until she pushed her mom to the edge. Then she's like, okay, I'm not accepted here. I'm leaving. Listen, I was a teenage girl once. This is real life. Like, you do that. You want to push and find your edges, and that's okay. But it just didn't feel. It just still felt so forced.
Yeah.
I don't know. And then she kind of like appears back to quote unquote save the day, but they should all be ecstatic that they're about to die, right? Because they love that stuff. It's just a weird one. But anyways, so I think I would maybe not recommend this one.
Yeah.
I'll
talk about a few other things from the video that I enjoyed. Whoever did the rinsing a dish sin, thank you. Thank you very much.
I'm the opposite. I disagree with that. You have to rinse the dish.
No. Why do you have a dishwasher?
You can clog up your dishwasher.
Listen, this is why I wrote the sin.
I know.
It's such a controversial conversation.
It is which side of the toilet paper
kind of thing. You enjoy paying somebody $300 to come unclog your dishwasher for you.
Your dishwasher is designed, at least if it's a fairly new one, it's designed to take care of that stuff.
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like stuff gets. I mean, it depends on how quickly you're going to wash them. Because if you load your dishes as you go, and then you don't wash them for a couple days, you can't leave a bunch of crap on there because it won't get washed off.
Yeah, I mean, you could.
I don't know.
Anyhow, I super appreciated that. It is, as someone who agrees that you shouldn't have to rinse your dishes, but lives in a home where we've decided to rinse our dishes before we put them in the dishwasher.
That's the correct thing to do. Yes,
I just felt heard. I felt seen. It was nice.
As somebody, so when I wrote that, I was like, this is going to trigger so many people, and that's part of my job.
Like, if you're going to rinse it, just throw some soap on there and wash it. Like, why are you even, just throw some soap in the sink and just go ahead and wash the dishes. So anyhow, I did appreciate that. I also liked the fact that we referenced Bruce and Melancholia Moons in 2 videos this week.
We did.
The Lil Nas video as well as this one.
Yep.
So I thought that was great.
Both Barrett, by the way.
Yeah, he definitely notices the
He's
big
like,
moons.
those moons, man. And that was a real big moon.
Yeah, it's a giant moon. I like the stomach eyeball sin.
Thanks. That was a fun one to write.
Because when you look at it, you're right. It's like, what is this thing? Is he has a hole in it and his actual stomach eyeball is coming through?
I know.
Like, what is that?
I was so confused.
Yeah, no, totally.
Oh my God.
And I don't even remember what was said before this line, but I laughed so hard that I'll mention it. Grandma stole my greeting to my balls.
That was Barrett. Isn't that hilarious? I laughed so hard when I read that.
And I don't even remember what was said. I knew
hello, my lovely uglies, or
yes,
something like that.
that's what it was. Hello, my lovely uglies.
Or something.
Yes.
My beautiful uglies. Yeah. Something.
Oh, that was so great. And then my second Princess Bride outtake that I want to mention, you were supposed to be the Colossus, and yet he gains as he's climbing the wall is just so great. In fact, all the outtakes on this video are just superb.
I agree.
It's a
I was
great
responsible
outtake.
for some of them.
Nicely done.
But I agree. The ones that I wasn't responsible for. Okay, can we talk about the mist one?
Sure.
Because it's mentioned in the comments.
That was so wrong. I have that written down.
Okay. That is so in the comments. And as someone who never saw the mist, I have zero understanding of what's going on.
Well, and I don't think you'll ever see that movie.
Right. So can we talk about it?
Yeah, I'll spoil it for you. Spoilers on The Mist if you were ever planning on seeing it. It's been out for a while, so I don't feel too bad doing this.
Great movie. What do you think of it?
I love it. And a part of the reason
amazing.
I love it is because of the end. Because it's willing to take that risk.
Ending. That's not the ending in the King story.
Yeah.
And Stephen King likes it better. He was like, Darabont made a better ending than I did.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We didn't do spoilers when we talked about Breaking Bad and Walt and Jane.
Yeah, you're right. Some things are just out long enough that you kind of,
okay,
it's understood. But anyways, this is about a group of people trying to survive this weird mist that comes to their town that has like monsters or aliens or something in it that's just like killing people.
Okay.
And the end of the movie, they are in a vehicle and basically have given up. The mist is all around them. You can hear the monsters, and he only has one bullet left, and it's him or is it her? I can't remember. It's her and her.
No, there's 4 people in the car, so he has 4 bullets left, I guess, because he's about to kill himself.
Oh, I thought he only had one less. I thought he sacrificed a bullet for himself and killed everybody else in the car. But anyways,
maybe there's 3 then, but there's definitely 4 people in that car.
But then as soon as he's done killing everybody else, you see sirens and lights.
One less bullet than needed is what was written in this.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he didn't have a bullet for himself.
That makes sense. Yeah, sorry.
And so as soon as right after he actually kills everybody, they're saved, and they all would have been fine. And that's how the movie ends.
No, that's horrible,
right?
But also very good storytelling.
It's incredible storytelling. Yeah,
he kills his friends and then
family,
survive.
Andrea from Walking Dead.
Yeah, I didn't want to tell you all the details of who's in the car.
Was it his kids?
Listen, I didn't.
Oh, jeez, Louise, Mother Mary, Pete the Dragon.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing.
Love that outtake.
But you pulled Pete the Dragon.
That's horrible.
When I say the missed outtake is so wrong, I mean that in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Oh my God!
So aren't you glad?
No, I should have never asked. That's awful. I mean, thanks for telling me. Now I'm ruined forever.
Yeah. Anyhow, so anyways, the outtakes on this video are incredible. I really like them. Anything else from the video that you guys wanted to mention? Danae, if you can recover it all.
I liked that we're saying Demolition Man was Wesley Snipes' high point.
Nice.
Until Dolomite Is My Name. This guy was in Jungle Fever.
Right.
He was in Major League, New Jack City, Mo Better Blues, The Water Dance, King of New York, Passenger 57. But we're going with Demolition Man. Which I love Demolition Man for the record. I also, in a house that's enormous, they couldn't give Lurch a room where he could stand up properly. That was just odd.
We actually point that out in the other video as well. Like just the treatment of Lurch. Like, can we not get him a room in this massive house that actually fits him?
Oh, and the origin of Lurch in this is
it's
problematic.
So weird.
Oh, what is it? I don't know. I haven't seen it.
He was standing in the road wearing a straitjacket that apparently was from the abandoned
asylum or something. Mm-hmm.
And they hit him in their vehicle because I think Thing was distracted driving when he was changing I don't know. And so then Morticia and Gomez are excited because they killed someone, which was weird because they weren't killing people when they needed to defend their lives from the townspeople. But anyways, then they just go over to him and then he goes, "Arr!" and he like rips out of his clothes, and then they hand him their suitcases that had also fallen off in the accident and just said,
make
him
a slave.
Yeah, they just turn him into a slave instantly.
Okay.
And then they go up.
And he's naked?
No, he's under his straitjacket was his
you said ripped out of his clothes.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No. Anytime I can go to nudity, I immediately go to nudity.
Much better movie. Yeah.
It's like, what was Lurch packing? Let me know.
Well, what's weird is why they hit him is because Gomez is getting a blowjob from Morticia. I'm kidding.
Super weird.
That is weird. All of a sudden, I want to watch this movie. I don't know why, but all of a sudden, I'm interested.
That's funny.
The only other thing I had was wondering where all the arachnids are hiding. I thought that was great.
Thank you. That was my controversial one. And then surfing the web afterwards, when I don't even know what that means. And ridiculousness. Yeah. I also liked writing the sin about nature being the worst.
Thank you. Another thing I appreciate.
Because I know the narrator hates nature. So I'm like, okay, I know this about him.
I agree with that.
He hates nature. I did want to say, though, after we had put this, we'd gone through the editing, we'd scoured over it multiple times. We're in the final moment. I realized that technically when they hit Lurch in the road, it would have been manslaughter and not a homicide. But it was too late to ask to fix it.
Nice.
But I was like, oh, technically that would have been manslaughter.
Yeah.
Because they didn't intentionally hit him.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to out myself there, and
that's fine. Well done.
I dropped the ball.
Well done.
I'm sorry, everybody.
Very nice. Man, good stuff all around. It was kind of interesting watching too for movies I hadn't seen, and just kind of experiencing that on that level this week. So that was kind of fun.
Huh.
Let's move on to keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're each going to tell a story from putting together the week's content.
Sit down, let us tell you a story.
Oh, it's going to be a Google search, some strange research, maybe a deleted sin, whatever we want to do. Danae and I have hinted at ours, so let's start with Jonathan, because we have no idea what Jonathan's coming to us with.
Oh, so I looked up. I'm trying to now. I didn't write down what it was for, and I'm trying to remember. I think it was it? I guess it was Walking Dead where I did this, but I did one of those where we put in the college band or the high school band, just like really weird music genres.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was just doing some research on those, and this is how I found this crazy list of all these just weird music genres, and so I'll just say a few of them. One of them is mathcore.
Ooh, fun.
Which is something that makes use of unusual time signatures.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yes. There's also crunkcore, which combines crunk hip hop with elements of screamo, and I don't know what any of that means.
Of course.
There is Russian chanson, which is Russian songs based on the themes of the urban underclass and often criminal underworld. And then one of my favorites was danger music, which is an experimental form of 20th and 21st century classical music. But it's based on the concept that some pieces of music can cause harm. So because of that, the performances are always canceled. So then it becomes a political or philosophical statement. So it's not actually music that you hear.
Yeah.
But it still has a category.
That's hilarious. That's amazing.
We like our
And then I think one of the ones I actually used was chiptune, which is sound textures that are synthesized or sequenced.
Right, yeah.
And the example is it's most often accomplished on Nintendo Game Boys, which then led to an associated genre called Nintendo Core.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I used to call that stuff like 8-bit music.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love that stuff, actually. There's a group. I can't remember their name. It's like, I wish I could remember their name because I really enjoyed their stuff. But it's very much that chiptune kind of idea.
Yeah.
It's cool stuff. Danae, you want to go next? Or
Yeah, I mean, mine's going to be really fast because we already talked about it and then explained it while we were talking about it. So I learned what a bottle episode meant because I was looking at why people would have liked the Fly episode, and in the forums, it's like, this is a bottle episode. And I'm like, okay, let's go look what that means. So I just had a sort of deep dive into the world of
Did you see
television.
other like examples of bottle episodes? I know Seinfeld has the one at the restaurant that's pretty famous. I find them fascinating.
The Box by Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Okay, yeah.
The one where no one's ready for Friends was mentioned. And then
and we send that, by the way. That's another bottle episode we send, yeah.
And The Edge of Destruction, Doctor Who was mentioned.
Yes.
All of those were on a Wikipedia article that I found as I was attempting to learn more about what bottle episode means. And then as I was watching The Fly, I don't know if it was technically, like, I don't know if it was a bottle episode in that did they want to do this? Were they forced to do that? Because the interesting thing about this sort of genre of episodes is, like, a lot of times from what I was learning, it's if there's a budget problem or if the cast isn't ready, like if they can't get the full cast, so they'll do something where they go into a limited space where they can kind of shoot in one location and really like lower their budget. So I don't know if that's what the episode, if they had to do that, so it's sort of The Fly was born of a need, or if this is what they were actually wanting to do since it was so different. But either way, it's definitely considered a bottle episode by most people who were talking about it in various forums as to why it was different and popular. So I just kind of learned that was a thing, and I get it. Making stuff is expensive.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're like, you know what if we shot the entire thing in this bathroom and we didn't leave it all? And let's just make it a lot of conversation. No action, no blowing up of cars, nothing burning. So,
yeah.
That's what I learned.
Nice. I did some research on pregnancy euphemisms because it struck me when the character says she's about to pop, just how, I don't know, not offensive. That would probably be too strong a word, but I was just like, that's not really flattering. That's not. And then I started thinking of all the different ways we talk about women who are pregnant, and they all seemed very unflattering. And I was like, okay, obviously this is something that these words have been defined by men talking about women. And, you know, it's kind of one of those interesting explorations. And I found some good articles. There were certainly some, you know, lists of, you know, euphemisms for pregnancy. Was it on the list? Was the list titled "What Not to Say"? Pretty much. Well, that's what's amazing about this is pretty much everything we would say about a pregnant woman is what not to say. And I think the lesson, if there is one from all this, is maybe just, you know, don't make a big deal about it other than talking about it with them. Yeah. Just calling them pregnant. That's fine.
Yeah,
you know,
you can just say, oh, I see that you're pregnant, but don't say very pregnant.
Yes, exactly. So I want to go through a few of these just to kind of give you an example of what I'm talking about. Some of them come from the idea of violence, like knocked up comes from like a violent, idea or a violent source. I like this part of the article because it kind of shows you how men's aggression defines even words about women, like the idea of even sexual words like, bang or those kind of things, you know, there's aggressiveness to them. And the same is true with knocked up. And then euphemisms where it tries to make it sound beautiful or interesting, like bun in the oven is another big one. In a family way. Is one that people use. Have you ever heard that one?
No.
She's in a family way.
Oh, I see.
It's like you're walking around it and you're afraid to say it, you know, as a euphemism.
Here's the thing I learned a long time ago. Just don't comment. Just
that's what I'm saying. That's the ultimate lesson.
Even if you are the most wonderful person and you have the best intentions and your heart is pure gold and you see a woman who's pregnant, don't comment on it because you don't know what that person's circumstances are, her preferences, how she's feeling about being pregnant. You know, you can say, you look beautiful today. I mean, if you feel like you want to comment on someone's beauty or, you know, I hope you're having a good day today. Yeah. Those things are just as effective. Or I hope
your pregnancy's going well.
No.
Like if you're friends, like if you're...
I'm just saying if you're not friends.
Yeah,
like,
no, I know.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say that because you just don't know.
So I want to get to some more of these. Expecting is certainly one that people use. But all of these is this idea that we have to tiptoe around the fact that women are pregnant. And a lot of that has to do with the cultural idea that a woman's sexuality is shameful. in some way. It's like, if we talk about them being pregnant, it means they had sex. Oh no, that kind of thing.
No, and you might think that's just crazy, but this is so true because my grandmother, who is now, that's what, my grandmother's 3 generations away from me. So that's not very long ago. She was not, like, we live in the Midwest. At a certain time of being pregnant, you were not supposed to even go in public to show that you were pregnant. This was to church, going to the grocery store.
Yep.
If you were showing, if your body shape had changed to the point where you were showing, you were not supposed to go out in public because it was shameful.
They legitimately had corsets.
Even if you're married.
Yeah.
You weren't supposed to show, and you weren't supposed to talk about it.
Because it was a visual indication that you had had sex.
And you certainly aren't supposed to breastfeed anywhere near people.
Right.
So, like, there has been so much that's changed. And she was kind of talking to me about, like, her experience. She was actually knocked unconscious by medication and forced to have a child because that's how they gave birth back then. You weren't even awake to give birth. So, yeah, this is a whole area where culture really, really is pretty fucked up.
So
that is very messed up.
Isn't that crazy?
Here are some of the worst ones.
Oh, good.
In a fix, shot in the tail, out of circulation. Which, boy, what a male, viewpoint that is. Like calling somebody pregnant, man, well, she's out of circulation.
Are you wanting to piss me off?
No,
I'm just curious.
I'm wanting people to understand how their words impact. Like,
you want to make me mad.
Then there are the ones to avoid because they have to do with growth.
Parents killing themselves in water, and some dude shooting his family and then being rescued, and now we're talking about pregnancy.
The idea of calling somebody pregnant, saying she's filling out her clothes, she's broad in the hips, she's lumpy, she's going to pop. All those are talking about the size, unavoidable. But let's get to the ones that I liked, that maybe we go with. One that people like is wearing the hatching jacket, but my favorite is the Egyptian flu. She has the Egyptian flu because she's going to be a mummy. I mean, come on. That's fun, at least, right?
No, that's cute.
I know what you're trying to do. It's not working for me.
What am I trying to do?
I want to go back to something Aaron said about you have to have sex to get pregnant. And I don't think that's true because my sisters had immaculate conception 5 times. That's crazy.
That's right.
I know.
That's right. My parents did too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously. Actually, technically, you don't have to have sex to get pregnant anymore.
That is true. Technology does allow it other ways.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, yeah, that's a good point.
Mm-hmm.
What I found was there are no legitimate words that show the beauty and the strength of what pregnancy really is. And
the terror.
No, honestly, all of that. And so I went with...
That's why you just don't talk about it, Go.
Well, that's why I went with, baby making badasses. I was like, that's at least... I think an honoring way of, understanding the...
I definitely felt when I read that sin, I was like, I would wear that badge.
Yeah.
I'd put that one on my jacket and baby making badass. Although now it sounds like I'm fertile myrtle. And I don't want to... So I don't want to go there.
That's right. Fair point. Fair point.
All right. I am a singular baby making badass, meaning I did it.
That's right.
I done did it. We're good.
All right, ready to move on to the comment section?
Boy, am I ever. I'm excited.
All my comments are about pregnant people.
Dang it.
and the end of the mist.
I want to start.
All right.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
We're each going to pick a comment or two to respond to from the week's videos. What do you got, Danae?
I'm not following the rules. This isn't a comment from a video. This is a comment in general. So Jeremy...
That's fine. That's totally following the rules.
Jeremy tweeted, if you're on Twitter, he's at CinemaSins. He tweeted about potential merch that might be coming down the pipeline. So yeah, we're going to be having some like BTS merch. We're going to have some Sincast merch and just kind of all across. We're working behind the scenes to make it happen, but I loved that he tweeted about it because people were giving their opinions about like what you should say on a shirt or a mug or all these catchphrases, not just for one channel, but for all of the channels. So Chandler said, how about a shirt that comes only in 8XL and says, this shirt reminds me of my college girlfriend, which I thought was really funny. And then also followed closely by, quote, oh, sorry, I was on Discord for CinemaSins BTS. I love that so much. There's so many. I could literally read.
We'll throw a couple more in there.
All of the ones that have have been said and like super enjoy it. How about this one from Liam? What was that, Aaron? I was doodling.
What was it? Somebody called me out on one of my go-tos, which is the word fascinating, wasn't it? I think somebody said it could just be Aaron with the thought.
That's fascinating.
The word bubble saying, "Oh, that's fascinating." And you're so right. That's definitely in the BTS drinking game for sure.
I think we should now have one with Danae with the bubble saying, "So what is the end of the mist?"
No, I will regret that forever.
I regret everything.
I regret everything. It's awful.
No, that's fun stuff. Feel free if you have any ideas to let us know.
Yeah, what email should they use?
That's a reference to the outtakes.
What email should they send it to, Aaron?
Okay, Danae, you asked. Merch ideas at CinemaSins.com. You can send it to any of our email addresses, or specifically merch ideas at CinemaSins.com. That'll be just fine.
Oh my goodness.
All right, what do you got, Jonathan?
I've got one from The Walking Dead. Somebody commented, I guess their name is 123. That's interesting. But they said for the Walking Dead episode, they said no sin for needlessly killing a group of well-trained soldiers that could have just added to your group. It seems really pointless. I wanted to bring that up because they're referring to the fact that the governor, they ambushed some soldiers to get all their guns and weapons and, their tanks and vehicles and, all that stuff. And I actually thought about that, what this person was pointing out, that why wouldn't they just keep them? But I kind of took it to be that the governor wouldn't want somebody that could potentially take him out or take over the town.
It's a total alpha dog thing. It's a total. I can't incorporate these people because I know I don't know them, and they are alpha male type people who would want to lead. And it made sense to me. Totally.
But I do agree that it is. You would think a normal person would be like, hey, these people could help me.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Yeah,
no, that's good. My favorite comment of the week was from, I'm going to say Kira Detel. And this was on the Boy video, I think. And she quotes the sin first. She's great at CinemaSins. And then the sin right after that is, he's great at being an a-hole. And then her comment was, so they're both great at CinemaSins? Which I thought was really clever and funny. So well done, Kira. Very nicely done. All right, let's move on to Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Let's each chat about something else in the world of pop culture that we want to make sure people know about. I'll start this time because I'm dying to talk about Fantasy Island with somebody who has seen Fantasy Island. And Jonathan, I know
just recorded a mini pod on that too.
I know.
You know what? Is this a good time for me to go to the bathroom?
Maybe. Although I kind of, I
don't. This is nothing.
Is there anything that's horrible?
Like the Mist? No.
Are you guys going to talk about something horrible?
No, not at all. So it is technically a horror movie, but it kind of in that way that the first Happy Death Day is technically a horror movie.
Yeah,
technically.
I think it's even less of one than that, to be honest.
I agree. I totally agree. I had a lot of problems with this movie. But what's interesting for me is for about 70 to 80% of this movie, I thought I actually might kind of like it. I enjoyed the characters. I enjoyed the performances. I enjoyed conceptually what was going on and trying to figure out, how these fantasies that they're given from this island were going to interact, how that was going to, resolve itself. And then it did resolve itself, and it was with a twist that made zero sense. Thematically, made zero sense contextually. It was one of the most frustrating movie going experiences I've had because it turned I kind of like this into I hate this movie. Like I walked out so angry
It's not a very good movie. I do think the twist, though, in a better written movie would work beautifully.
It could.
I like the overall idea of the twist.
You would have to change a lot, though.
You would.
Structurally, contextually, even thematically, because what's crazy about this movie is it's doing some beautiful things, dealing with regret and dealing with choices you've made.
It's pretty heavy-handed.
I guess. Yeah, no, I guess you're right. But for me, at least, it was trying to be more than just,
Yeah, that's totally fair.
A typical thing. No, you're right. It is a little bit pedantic.
Well, and it also feels, especially until that twist, it feels very much like a pilot to a CW show.
Yeah.
Part of that's probably the actors involved, because a lot of the actors are known for television. That might have something to do with it. Like, especially like Lucy Hale's on there, who was on, Pretty Little Liars. And she's in the new Riverdale spinoff, Katie Kane. Maggie Q was on Nikita. And
I got to tell you, the Maggie Q stuff is great. I loved her character. Like, I thought she was great. I thought that story was great. I enjoyed even the I forget the actor's name, but the military kind of story was doing some interesting things for me. I thought it was funny. I thought, a lot of it was humorous and well done. So
there's that great part though where he's like, Michael Pena is talking to is it Jimmy O Yang? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Where Michael Pena's talking to him, he's like, remember, you've got to play your fantasies out till they're fulfilled. And he's like, yeah, we didn't know what the fuck that meant.
Yeah, none of us did. Yeah, no, I thought those two were hilarious together. I thought there were some really good moments. I don't know. I was kind of digging it. I was kind of like, oh, maybe PG-13 horror is my thing. And then it was just like, oh, you're going to make it make no sense. Great.
I thought they could have done more with the fantasies to make it a little more interesting for me. It's too long, but a lot of that has to do with the fact that they have to set up all these fantasies.
And it doesn't have to be a horror movie. I think it tries way too hard.
It doesn't become a horror movie till the end. I mean, one of the fantasies is more horror-centric, but even that you could do a different way.
Yes, totally.
No, it totally becomes a different movie. It's kind of like The Boy in that way, although The Boy is always a horror movie, but The Boy is like a different type of horror movie for 2/3 of it, and then it becomes then it becomes a different subgenre.
Yeah.
You kind of have something like that here. And the fact that the only reason I even was thinking horror was because that's just the way they advertised it. But yeah, you're right. It doesn't become a horror movie till there's about, 10 minutes left, something like that.
Yeah.
15 maybe.
And then towards the end, there's so much sad trombone, horrible forced puns and forced, world development. But
I will say though, like, if it's already a bad movie, I kind of enjoy that like over the top villain stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just find that hilarious. Even it's not good, but it's just, at least they're going for it. But I don't know.
Yeah. I just I'm just specifically talking, I guess, although there are a few examples, but the biggest offender is the character that stays on the island.
What you're saying
now.
now.
My goodness.
Chris and I both talk about how terrible that is.
Come on, it's so terrible. And even the plane, which happens twice in this movie that they make that reference, is so unsubtle. It's just, it's right in your face. That stuff is annoying.
I think Michael Pena gives a pretty interesting performance because he's definitely summoning Ricardo Montalban. And but I think mostly I just kind of felt sad for Maggie Q and Lucy Hale. I feel like they could do better.
Yeah, I agree. Anyways, I had to get that off my chest and talk to somebody else who had seen it and see, maybe if I was crazy.
Not at all.
But there you go.
I just want to say for the record, I totally could have gone to the bathroom.
Well, you could have. That wasn't the question you asked.
I thought maybe like there would have been like a moment for me to like, I don't know, have anything to do with that conversation. I super could have like slipped out.
Did you ever watch the TV show?
Asking if you needed to leave because we were going to talk about
something we
disturbing.
thought you were like, are we going to freak you out by talking about it?
Oh, no. I mean, I have to pee. It's not a good time.
The answer would have been yes.
Should have been more clear.
Yes, you should have. Which, by the way, is something I say about my pee occasionally. Yeah. So continue. Jonathan, what do you got?
I'm actually going to talk about podcasts. I didn't really watch anything that interesting. I did watch the pilot for Hunters. Did you watch that? The Amazon show?
No. I've heard, talk of this show. It seems like a big, like Amazon's going for it with this show or something.
Yeah, it's super interesting. I feel like I need to watch a few more episodes before I have an opinion on it, but I would check it out. That's really the only new thing I watched. But there's a podcast I've been listening to for the last few months that's really picked up in my rotation and kind of become something I go to like as soon as the new episode drops. And it's this podcast called Screen Drafts. Have you ever heard of this, Aaron?
No, I haven't.
So what it is it's these this couple of guys, and I assume they're in LA because I feel like most of their guests are people that probably live in that area. And so they come up with a franchise or a type of film or something to rank. And then they bring in 2 or 3 people, and they treat it like a draft. Like basically you're drafting the positions for the show, for the movies. And they have, but they do it really interesting where they have all these other. It's basically like playing a game.
Yeah, it's like fantasy sports, but with movies.
Get vetoes. Certain people get veto overrides. Some of it's based on if they've played the game before. They might come in with like extra vetoes. And so it's just really fun to listen to how the lists shape up. For instance, they recently just did a Star Trek draft where they did every Star Trek film, like the Next Generation, the original series, and the new and the J.J. Abrams ones, the J.J. Abrams universe, whatever you call that. And it was really interesting as a Star Trek fan, as someone who knows what like the traditional rankings would be.
Right.
What it ended up becoming. Like there are movies that are universally loathed by most Star Trek fans, but because there was somebody in there that likes that movie and was crafty with the way they used their vetoes, some of the movies got up a little higher than you would expect. So
interesting.
It's just, and I think you would enjoy it because you talk about Survivor and stuff. I know you like games like that. Where,
no, it does sound interesting. Yeah.
So it's really fun to figure out, what they're going to do. And they've done a lot of different things. They did, I don't think they've done, I was about to say they did James Bond, but I think that was something else I was thinking of. But they've done Trek, and they did one where they did Giallo movies. They recently did one where they were doing the Universal Monsters. I haven't listened to that one yet. They just did their top 20 of 2019. They did a top 20 of the decade. So it's just it's really fun though. It's a good time. And it's one that I look forward to every episode now. So
you know what that sounds like to me? That sounds fascinating. I find that fascinating.
Drink up.
What about you, Danae?
I am going to talk about a YouTube channel / podcast. It is another one in the D&D vein. It's one that you guys have recommended to me multiple times. Cool. I've gotten this recommendation / suggestion probably 10. So it's definitely one where I'm like, okay. So I wrapped up my binge of one show, and I immediately started on Dimension 20's Fantasy High series. I have not finished it yet, but I think, could be wrong about this, I think it's like the story arc is complete. So I don't think it's still releasing episodes. So if you want to see them play and you want to see when there's a battle, they'll bring out a map and they'll have all your little character players on the map where they're really cool maps. I usually will listen to the podcast, and then if it's sounding like it's a pretty cool thing, I'll actually go to YouTube and fast forward so I can see like the map and see what they're doing. But it's a really fun player characters. I think these are all people from College Humor, which is now dissolved. But they're
it is?
Yeah.
Interesting.
The College Humor, I think it was 3 weeks ago. It's been recent, maybe in the last month.
Oh, wow.
They lost their financial backer, and so the entire company collapsed. And so there's there's one person that still, I think, has rights to it and is trying to do their best to piece everything together and keep their best content afloat for a time. I only know about it because there's a podcast I listen to that I've mentioned multiple times, Not Another D&D podcast. It's one of my absolute favorites. A lot of the people that are on that one came from that College Humor type space, or at least they all used to work together to some capacity over in that environment. And so they were tweeting about it. If you guys are hiring anybody, these guys are great. They're amazing. Help our friends find new jobs. This is a really sad day kind of a thing. So that's the only reason I kind of knew about it. It's sort of, rippled across my Twitter sphere. Anyhow, I am super impressed with this show.
Nice.
It is a lot of fun. The guy who's the dungeon master, who's doing all the voices for these different characters is incredibly talented. Like, it kind of blows my mind how talented he is. I wonder if I can find his name real quick, because you guys might know him. Brennan Lee Mulligan is his name. The cast is really, really fun. They have a really great crew and production. So as you're listening to the podcast, you're hearing sounds. So let's say that there's like a slash or something, you know, someone like hits somebody with a sword. You're actually kind of hearing that sword swoosh.
Very cool.
So there's more kind of an interactive feel to listening to it.
Some more post-production kind of stuff.
Yeah. They've also done that in the production of the video as well. So it's really clever how they've kind of mixed things in. Whenever
say you that, you know, when you'll hear a slash thing again. No, it's fine. Continue.
I didn't know what you wanted until I was swishing. It was too late.
I was trying to have our podcast incorporate stuff, and you just beat me to it.
I still like. What was the scoop? It was like.
Cool. Oh my god! When I listened to that last week, I was like, "What the hell was that?"
Yeah, that actually sounded weirder listening back to it than it did live.
No, what was super awkward is that it came out of my mouth, and all I can remember is that my cheeks got stuck.
Yes.
And so I was just reliving that weird feeling in my mouth over and over again.
Yes.
Anyway, highly, highly recommend it if you're looking for another one, or even maybe you just want to like look at one to start with. The good thing about this one is they chop them up into bite-sized episodes. You're not going to be listening to or watching something on YouTube that's a 4-hour gaming session. These are cut down into 2.
That's not as bad. That's feature-length film, at least.
So I love listening to it for podcasts. They do a really good job of kind of stopping and saying, okay, tune in next time and we're going to do this. It's just been, I don't know, I'm really impressed with how well it was made.
Very cool.
So I'm really super enjoying it.
So this is Fantasy High?
It's called Fantasy High.
So see, Fantasy High, Fantasy Island, you could have had conversation there.
Oh, maybe I could have.
No, I was just thinking it's the fantasy edition of Beyond the Sins, because even yours, Jonathan, was kind of about fantasy sports, you know, in movies.
Whoa.
So
that's true.
Wow.
So,
that was
drafting.
an accident.
Yeah, that's true.
If you decide to check it out, I would love to know what you think. You can always message me. I'm Danae at CinemaSins.com, just in case you want to know my email.
Do you want an email?
Or you can send it to D&D at...
Yes. Fantasy High Thoughts at CinemaSins.
Don't, because then I'm going to have to make it. Dang it, no, I have to make it.
No, you don't. You know what else I want to mention just before we close out? Jonathan, you had mentioned in your Beyond the Sins a while back about Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist.
Mm-hmm. Did you go watch it?
And mentioned you thought I would enjoy it. I love it.
Oh,
it is.
cool.
I've seen 3 episodes now that it's airing every week, because the first episode came out long before it was, supposed to start
airing. Yeah, they had
airing.
like a premiere. It was after some event. I don't remember why they premiered it.
So I think there are 3 episodes out now. I've watched all 3. I am in love with this show. So hardcore. It hits all my musical buttons. The cast is lovely and likable, and I'm having a great time with it. So I wanted to back up your recommendation from a while back.
Thank you. Yeah, who is is it Jane Levy? Did I say that right? That didn't sound right.
Could be. I don't have it in front of me. I just, I'm just having such a... It is the best example since Glee, probably, of a show that understands how to be a TV musical and to use the power of music to drive emotion in story. And by the way, I shouldn't bring Glee into it, because it's 100 times better than Glee in my opinion. But it's kind of...
I know what you're saying.
Yeah, usually shows that incorporate music don't understand the power of musicals, and this show definitely does.
It's pretty similar to Eli Stone, which was actually a show I did not like that much, but so that's kind of a weird comparison too. But it kind of uses that type of structure, I guess.
Yeah. So anyway,
Jane Levy is Zoe, and she's a hidden gem. She's kind of like
I love her.
Reminds me of Kristen Bell a little bit, but she was on a great sitcom from a few years back called Suburgatory.
Yeah, I love her so much.
She was also on the first season of Castle Rock. So
I am smitten. I dig her a lot. Well, that's going to do it, guys, for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed. Go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. You can hang out with us on Twitter. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says.
DNEESAYS.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, and myself, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to behindthesinspod@gmail.com. And be sure to subscribe or message us at Twitter. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
Check 1 2 test 1 2.
Check 1 1 7.
Check what's Sev.
Listen, I'm playing Clash Royale right now. I can't be burdened with saying words. I did not go to Sonic today. I went to Chick-fil-A today.
I mean, not a bad substitution.
Right.
Without getting into the political nature of that whole Chick-fil-A conversation.
Yeah, I don't want to go there. But their hash browns are similar to Brahms hash browns, but Brahms does it better.
Yeah.
And this is so weird. This is such a psychological thing. They have the same mustard packets as Brahms, but yet whenever I put the mustard onto the hash browns from Chick-fil-A this morning, I was like, it's just not the same. And I don't know if it's also the tea is different. Everything is it's the same, but just
different.
Yeah.
So do you wish you had gone to Brahms?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
Well, good news. You're going to live near a Brahms. No, wait, you're not. There's no Brahms.
I will drive to Brahms. I will drive out out of my way 15
You
minutes.
live a little closer to a Brahms.
I live 35 minutes closer to a Brahms. Well, I guess I should say I live 35 minutes away. Now I'll live 15-ish.
Yeah, you get to Brahms in 10.
If I was in an emergency
That's
situation.
right. If you're in an emergency tot situation, you need that mustard.
Technically hash browns.
Whatever. Fried potato.
Yeah, I need my fried potatoes every day. Otherwise, this body just falls apart.
I mean, legit, the quote-unquote hash browns from Brahms are tots. They aren't hash browns.
They're tot discs.
Yeah, they are.
It's a squish tot.
It's a tot.
But still, they're called hash browns.
I had never thought about this, but this is important. That is a tot. They really should not be able to call those hash browns, right?
Because hash browns are
the stringy potato,
right?
That you fry on one side and then you fry on another side.
It's more like a patty.
It's a patty,
but it's like a loose shaved potato patty.
These are specifically they're
little pucks.
They're just shorter tots.
Yeah,
they're mini tots.
You should talk to the owner of Brahms.
I should. How dare they? Those
and also McDonald's, because McDonald's has the big ones that look
McDonald's are closer, but I agree. The McDonald's ones...
They're still uniformed.
They're uniformed, and I think that makes it a tot.
You think the one from McDonald's is a tot?
I think it's a giant tot.
It's a giant squish tot.
It tastes more like a tot than hash browns does.
It's kind of in the shape of a shoe, like a shoe print.
Go to your local country restaurant and get hash browns. Those are hash browns, right? I make hash browns for breakfast every day. I know what hash browns taste like.
You would think of the two of us, I would be the one that would be passionately talking about this.
It's just because I just figured this out. This is legit. Those are tots. Look, we did it. First try. How's that?
You know what? It's going to be a good day.
Thank you, Ice Cube. Who is the one that's it's going to be a good day?
I don't know.
The meme?
Ice Cube.
Ice Cube?
Yep.
I almost said iced tea.
Okay.
That's fair.
I love
Ice Cube. Yeah, today is a good day. I didn't have to shoot my AK.
Yep. You didn't know that was the second part?
In the song.
No, I don't have the song in my mind.
I thought you were legit quoting the meme.
No.
I really did.
That might be his biggest hit.
Oh.
I don't know. I'm a huge Ice Cube fan, so
yeah,
we need an Ice Cube trivia guy. I'm your man.
I like it. Gosh. I like it more than crushed ice. That's for sure. I like the cubes.
Mr. Jonathan.
So yeah, Jonathan, you've really picked up on the whole singlet thing.
What's a singlet? I know what sixlets are.
A singlet is the wrestling unitard that I bought.
Oh!
I don't know why. I just find it hilarious. Actually, my wife Meredith told me that's what they call them because I was telling her the story. So she's like, "Oh yeah, it's singlet." It's
true. I looked at some other ones after I had ordered this one, which, by the way, I've tried it on.
How'd it go?
It was.
Sorry.
It was there.
I can't stop envisioning you as Andre the Giant.
No, that's about how.
Well, and you're like a big dude,
right?
So
no,
you could totally be a wrestler.
Yep, it totally looks like I'm ready for the ring. Totally. It's interesting because it is definitely, it's intended to be shapewear. And so the material it's made out of is like high grade Lycra spandex kind of material. And man, it squeezes me.
Yeah.
So is it like man Spanx?
Yeah, it is. It's definitely.
They have man Spanx though, right? Or is that what this is?
That's basically what this is. Yeah, shapewear.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, I tried it on. It is not comfortable. I'm kind of debating whether it's worth it to live, a day in that. Like if I'm at an event or something.
You should try it out at Sin Week.
Yeah,
try it out at Sin Week because here's the good news. The good news is that everyone will know.
Yeah, that's true.
And so you can have a jokey conversation about it.
Try to find my crack. Go ahead. See if you can spot it.
No, that is not a game we're playing.
Spot my crack. It's the new fun game we're playing in Sin Week. That's I probably will try it out there. It's one of those things where it's like balancing like the modesty for other people kind of thing versus the discomfort of wearing it. It's not horrible and you kind of get used to it. Then after I took it off, after having worn it for a few hours, I felt the blood like rush back to my body.
Yeah.
I was like, well, that can't be too good, right? And then I thought, well, these are the kind of things that actually people wear post-surgery, right? Like to hold stuff together. So I don't know.
Still be pulling my pants up all day because I can't stand that feeling. So
are you going to try?
That would
oh my
benefit
God.
me.
I couldn't even feel it. But that's the thing. I couldn't tell if my pants were riding down, and so I didn't even think about it. I did not worry about hiking
That's
up my
weird
pants.
that belts don't work for you.
It is weird, man. It doesn't matter how tight I get them. It's just the way I'm shaped. It sags.
He's a potato man.
Well, and I also started, once I got a gut as I got older, I found that you also, not only do you have no butt, but you also have a gut that is pushing your pants down.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, and I'm I'm a 35, I'm a 35 waist and a 32 length, which is like impossible to find. So I typically get 36. So I'm already like too big in the waist as it is.
Yeah.
It's just
I've gone
just life as a semi-fat person.
Yeah. I think I'm back to being semi-fat as opposed to just really fat. I was waist 50. Actually, I got up to 52 at one point. And now I'm at 40. So I've dropped 12 inches off my waist.
Wow.
But
good for you.
Yeah. So
you're also tall, and that factors in.
Totally. Yeah, for sure.
Because if you were like a 33 waist or something,
oh my goodness.
I have an appropriate question.
No, it's
everyone's favorite.
Yeah.
So if a woman wears like Spanx or something, like we sometimes
I thought you were about to ask about a penis. Okay, go ahead.
Well, so I think she is.
I am. Yeah, like how do you go to the back? Because for us, if I've worn stuff in the past, like a jumpsuit, I have to take everything off. Yeah.
Well, it's a little easier as a guy. You just put a little, escape hatch in the proper place for urination.
But so you cut them?
What?
Your unitard?
No, it came that way. It comes with because
it's meant for dudes.
The one loose part on it is the crotch. It's like we're not going to squeeze you there.
Yeah,
it's like we care about
you're okay.
Your parts.
Yeah. We
We
left enough room in here if you want to stuff a grapefruit in there or a softball in there.
Oh
wow.
This also has a back hatch. There's a zipper on the back of this thing that apparently if you need to sit down, you can. There's no way I'm trying that because it's just this tiny little zipper.
It's a zipper?
Yeah, it's like a zipper that goes down the butt, basically in line with your crack.
This is starting to sound like this is for some kind of playing around. But go ahead.
What did you buy?
This is GEP material.
Maybe. I didn't understand the leather mask that came with it, but
I was gonna say, did it come with a mask?
Oh my gosh!
And there was like this beautiful like black rod with like flowering things coming off the end. I have no idea what that was for, but anyways,
and a necklace.
Yeah, yes, beautiful necklace.
Oh no!
Beautiful pearl necklace. I had no idea.
I regret everything.
So anyways, the zipper goes straight down the crack, but it doesn't, like, when you unzip it, it barely separates because this thing is so tight. It's like you're getting crap all over that thing if you try. I promise you, it's not going to work. And then it's impossible to zip back up. Like, you cannot. I had to take it off to get it zipped back up.
So hold on a second.
You're like, Jen.
Zip up my
zip my crack. yes.
Does that mean that technically if you unzipped it, that you would still be seeing your crack? It would just be a zip crack?
Yes.
So it completely eliminates the whole thing. Like,
yes.
The whole purpose of getting this is to cover your butt crack, which then unzips to reveal your butt crack.
Yes. Thankfully, it's like way lower, butt crack,
God.
and it's the upper butt crack that gets me usually. But
you should just bite the bullet and just go ahead and get into Depends early, because that I mean, that would help you out if you're on the go, and and you wouldn't show your butt crack.
Yeah. I did look after. I was like, why didn't I buy this? They do have ones that are just like high-waisted Spanx they're just shorts and you just pull the waist up to like your chest. What?
Like a tube.
Yeah, like a tube.
Well, that's what I originally thought, but then you went
full bodysuit. Listen, if nothing else, it's good for the walls. All right.
It's good for the what?
Hey, Danae, but they have like bodysuits that aren't for shapewear, right? That I don't even understand why you would want to wear that.
Oh my gosh!
Because I can't even imagine how big of a pain in the ass it is to go to. I can't imagine how big of a pain in the ass it is to go to the bathroom as a woman in the first place, especially in a public restroom.
Oh, it's awful. It's awful. You really do develop really strong quads so that you can hover.
You'd have to
hover. Yeah.
Wow.
When I've worn like a jumpsuit in the past, especially for public restrooms, the thing is like you don't want any fabric to get onto the ground.
Right.
So you're trying to hold up the pants, like you roll them up to your knees.
I just assume you basically took it off and hung it on the hook in the stall, and then just.
But even to take it off, you don't want the fabric to like run along the ground because the ground is so disgusting in a lot of places. So then you're
so you take it off outside the bathroom.
Then you just walk completely nude around.
Yeah, right.
It's really hard because you're juggling so many things. You've got like a bag, you've got the pants that you don't want to touch. If you're wearing a jumpsuit, you have to take that down. And so then you're also holding that kind of up so it doesn't fall into the toilet. Mm-hmm. So it's this whole pretzel situation.
Yeah.
It's a very... I only wore a jumpsuit twice, and I was like, this isn't for me. This isn't for me.
Is there any possible... this is a question, from someone who doesn't have a vagina. Is there any possible way you can just move stuff to the side, or is it just too I don't know how direct you can direct your stream. So
there's always a chance. It's very messy. It just kind of depends. There's folds of stuff down there that can disrupt
I've heard
the
that
stream.
Like with swimsuits, right? You can do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really...
So you can do that?
Yes.
Okay. It's just a risk.
Well, the thing is that once you move it over to the side, you have to hold it in place while also using your other hand to wipe.
Yeah, that would be a problem.
Unless you decide not to wipe, which... That's a personal decision that you get to make, but for me, I do. So then it's like this sort of, it might snap back across and get wet. So it's a very, everything is tricky.
Everything is tricky. Everything is tricky when you have a vagina.
I was thinking about everything is tricky when it gets in the stream.
No, that's a better rhyme scheme for sure.
One of the cool things that we do on this show is we try to normalize conversations about body. And so
100%.
Here we're just doing it.
100%.
I kind of enjoy that we're able to talk about that, though.
Yeah, for sure.
Send your vagina and penis questions.
Sorry. To Pixar, it didn't happen.
Did I make that email for you?
Yes, I've gotten emails to it. Pixar didn't happen at CinemaSins.com.
Did somebody send you? Did somebody really send you a picture of toes though?
Oh yeah, I got several pictures of toes.
Somebody made a joke to me on Twitter that I hope you weren't offended when I sent you that. He's like, but maybe I sent that to Aaron.
Oh
I was
my
like, no, I
gosh,
think he's being
so
legit.
Funny.
I was like, yeah, please don't send that to me.
Oh my gosh.
Yes, we got several toe pictures. None of them are, as crazy as the toes in the picture. So that was confirmed. Most recently, it was used because Jeremy tweeted about a giant pepper. And he was like, "Oh my goodness, I've never seen a pepper this big." Do you remember this tweet stream?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
he put it next to a banana
and a Coke
no, that was a giant
can.
pepper.
Yeah,
and I was like, "That is a giant pepper. I've never seen a pepper." And people were like, "Their peppers that big all." And so I got at Pixar. It didn't happen at CinemaSins.com. I mentioned that, and I got several pictures of giant peppers. And so,
oh my gosh,
yeah.
I love that we get to make up emails. Send your email suggestions to us.
Yes, please do.
We are not asking for public restroom pictures.
Please send your email name suggestions to emailnames@cinemasins.com.
make it right now. Because listen, guys, they gave me access to the admin panel and I can't.
That's right.
If they didn't want it to happen, they shouldn't have let me do this. Email, what would you say?
Email names?
Email names at cinemasins.com.
Yes. Send your creative email names to email names at cinemasins.com.
Oh no. I just made it. Email names. We actually have it now.
Nice.
I wonder if they're going to be like, we really need to limit her access to our admin panel. Oh, shit. Oh, it's good stuff. I have an announcement for the outtakes this week.
Okay.
Okay, so super quick update. I wanted to give you guys an update about mailing out stickers.
Oh, okay.
I'm super behind on my estimated mailing date. I have hit multiple snags, some of which are pretty big. Like, I may have to handwrite 150 envelopes if I can't figure out this one issue that is printing labels. So
oh no,
I got really, really sick. That pushed me back like a week and a half. The house selling pushed me back another little bit. But the biggest one is I have tried to print these labels and it's just not working. And so if I can't figure it out soon, I'm probably going to have to just handwrite them, and that's going to take even longer. But I haven't mailed them yet. So I apologize, number one. I'm behind schedule there. But number two, don't panic. Nobody has gotten them, and you know, you're not missing out. Everyone's missing out.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to give you guys an update. Okay.
Yeah. If you have any comments about that, send them to Behind the Sins labeling issue at cinemasins.com.
Stop it. Don't do it. Do you remember how I said I wanted to do a giveaway when we got to 50 reviews?
Yeah.
We're at 48 5-star ratings.
Nice.
But we only have 13 reviews.
Oh, well, then we need...
I think ratings should count.
No.
No. We need 37 more reviews.
We need to have more...
Oh, you're saying you want it to be reviewed so you don't have to do a giveaway. Okay.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying we want reviews.
We're all...
But I mean, ratings help with the algorithm too, right?
Super help. But actually written reviews like, this is what I like about the show, actually it's what makes it go up charts even higher.
In general, everybody who leaves a review does a rating because the rating's the easy part.
But then I feel bad because we are literally just a couple people away from having 50 5-star ratings, which is super awesome.
Thank you for that.
Thank you for that. But I guess we need to clarify, we meant written reviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you guys
37 to go.
If you're looking forward to having a giveaway, which you should be, because I'm going to do it, even if I have to pay for it myself.
Yeah.
Because I, by the way, haven't got that approved yet because I didn't think it'd happen soon. But, we still have some time now.
Yeah.
So we've got 13 written reviews. We bump that up.
And let us know if you do one. Send either yes or no to Did I Write a iTunes Review at CinemaSins.
Don't do it.
This is my new favorite
How
thing.
are they going to know which one?
When will that joke get old? I don't know that it will.
Because you can always come up with something else.
Here's the problem. People are going to start sending them to those, and I'm not going to keep making them for you. I'm not doing it.
And if you think that joke's getting old, please send it to...
Do you want to build a snowman?
It doesn't have to be a snowman.
That's my impression of Danae singing a Frozen song.
Well, it was stunning. I found it fascinating.
I watched Frozen 2. I think I told you guys that last week. I watched it. And there's this really high, I think her name is Aurora, maybe. She's just a singer. And she does that real high, like, that thing.
Uh-huh. That was pretty good.
Oh, thank you. I had a frog in my throat. I can try to sing it more operatic later after I clear my phlegm for you.
Are you eating an ice cream cone?
Shut up.
Anyways, what about Aurora?
Doesn't matter now.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Did you like Frozen 2?
Yeah, I think so. There were some things that really annoyed me about it, but that's just
I
me.
really don't know what I think of that. And we reviewed it. That was the one Mackenzie was on, and
yeah.
I still don't know what I think of it.
Yeah,
It's a weird little movie.
Well, there's some stuff about it that frustrate me because it's so much about them winking at the audience that they saw the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like,
totally.
Okay, how about you just be the movie that you are and stop
Thank you.
winking at everybody like, hey, we're growing up. We're all getting a little bit older and our flag is always going to fly, and hey, blah, blah, blah.
Can I tell you the biggest example of that annoyed the snot out of me is when she is seeing, remind me their name,
Elsa,
I think Elsa. Mm-hmm. When Elsa is seeing the ice representations of her life through that story, and one of them is singing Let It Go, and she looks at that character like, oh, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
Why is she done with that?
It's been 3
We're
years.
done with that.
Yeah.
We heard it over and over again. She loves that song. That song means a lot to her. That made me so mad. Yeah. That's an example of that winking where it's like, that's only for the audience. That character would not react that way to hearing herself sing beautifully a song that's important to her.
So many of those. And even when they're playing charades and like Olaf turns into Elsa and walks forward and has like the little hip sway thing.
Right. It's funny. Olaf is funny.
I was like, okay, are we going to keep doing this?
And we did.
It has multiple times it does that. Yeah. So that was a little bit frustrating to me. I think, the whole movie is about not being able to control things and, things are going to change even if you don't have control. And that means sometimes people leave or die, or become gods. Is she a goddess now?
Yeah, I think she is.
Like she's not even a human anymore? Was she ever
actually
human?
A director's cut that has a different ending and Kristoff in the car.
Jonathan.
I hate you. I hate you.
The frozen mist.